They thought they could break my wife and get away with it. That was their fatal mistake. The HOA enforcers in Oakwood Heights, Carl and Linda Grayson, crossed a line when they sent Sarah to the hospital while I was away. For years, they terrorized our quiet neighborhood, but targeting my wife awakened someone they never expected. I'm not just another suburban dad who'd swallow their fines and stay silent. My name's Daniel Carter now, a security consultant living a life I thought I'd earned. But 15 years ago, they called me Shadow, and that ghost was supposed to be dead. What happened when I came home changed everything, and Oakwood Heights would never be the same. Sarah and I moved to Oakwood Heights for a fresh start. Tree-lined streets, manicured lawns, neighbors who smiled as you passed. It felt like the perfect place to bury my past. I'd spent years in shadows, where survival meant outsmarting death. Oakwood was my chance to trade mission briefings for mortgage payments, to give Sarah the normal life I'd never known. But within 48 hours, paradise showed its cracks. We painted our house a sleek charcoal gray, modern and sharp. Before the paint dried, an $800 fine arrived from the HOA, led by Abigail Wentworth. Our color wasn't on their approved chart. I'd scoured the bylaws and found no mention of specific colors, but ignorance, it seemed, was no excuse in Abigail's domain. I tried diplomacy first, knocking on Abigail's door with the regulations in hand. She answered, polished and poised, her smile as cold as a blade. "Mr. Carter," she said before I could speak, "I've been expecting you." That should have been my first red flag. She'd been watching us. I stayed calm, explaining I'd found no color restrictions. Her smile turned patronizing as she claimed the chart was available upon request and that established residents knew the rules. Behind her, a hulking figure, Carl Grayson, loomed silently, his presence a clear warning. I paid the fine, but my gut screamed this was just the beginning. The next weekend, my nephew, all of 8 years old, was shooting hoops in our backyard. A $500 fine arrived for excessive noise during quiet hours that didn't exist in any rulebook. When I confronted Abigail, Carl and his wife, Linda, flanked her. "Some of us understand community standards," Abigail said, her tone dripping with superiority. I paid again, but I was starting to see the game. We were being targeted. A $300 fine followed for placing our trash can out 15 minutes early. Then a $400 fine for my unsightly bicycle, despite it being spotless and stored properly. Sarah noticed Linda lurking near our house, pretending to walk her dog, but clearly watching us. "I feel like we're under surveillance," she whispered one night. I'd already clocked Carl's truck slowing by our driveway at odd hours. My old instincts, ones I'd buried for years, were stirring. The fifth violation was a $400 fine for Sarah's flower garden, her pride and joy, deemed non-compliant. Abigail was systematically stripping away everything that made our home ours. Sarah, stressed and heartbroken, suggested we move. But I'd learned long ago that running from bullies only emboldens them. That night, I began my own reconnaissance, mapping Abigail's routines, Carl and Linda's movements, and the neighborhood's layout. Sarah thought I was taking evening walks to clear my head. In reality, I was preparing for war. I was in Chicago for a 3-day client meeting when it happened. The deal could have netted $2 million, but Sarah insisted I go. "We need this," she said. I should have trusted my gut and stayed, but 15 years of civilian life had dulled my edge. I thought Abigail's harassment would stick to fines. I was wrong. My phone rang during the final presentation, Oakwood Regional Hospital. Sarah wasn't working her nursing shift that day. "Mr. Carter, your wife's been admitted after an incident," the doctor said. "She's stable, but you need to come now." My grip shattered the glass in my hand. "What incident?" My voice turned cold, a tone I hadn't used in years. "She was assaulted." I can't say more over the phone. The 2-hour drive from the airport was torture. Sarah lay in a hospital bed, her face bruised, her spirit fractured. Contusions, possible concussion, severe emotional trauma. The doctor's words fueled a rage I could barely contain. Sarah's eyes, filled with fear and confusion, broke me. "I'm sorry," she whispered, as if she'd failed me. I held her hand, forcing my voice to stay gentle. "You have nothing to apologize for. Tell me what happened." Through tears, she recounted how Carl and Linda came to our house, smashed her flower pot, blocked her path, and when she tried to flee, Carl shoved her into the concrete steps. "They said you couldn't protect me," she sobbed. They said they could come anytime. A neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, waited at the hospital with details. They planned it, she said. They knew you were gone. Carl blocked her escape while Linda destroyed her property. It was deliberate. The implications hit like a gut punch. Abigail's crew had been tracking us, waiting for my absence. They thought they could break Sarah and face no consequences. For 2 days, I stayed by her side, watching her flinch at every heavy footstep. At home, her trauma was stark. She checked locks obsessively, positioned herself near exits, and jumped when I entered rooms. They hadn't just hurt her body, they'd shattered her sense of safety. In our garage, I opened a case I hadn't touched in 15 years: tactical gear, surveillance tools, communication devices. Sarah caught me assembling a directional microphone. "Daniel, what is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Security consulting tools," I said, dodging the full truth. "I'm making sure this never happens again." That night, I began surveilling Abigail's house, recording her meetings with Carl and Linda. Their body language screamed conspiracy. I installed a recording app on my phone, documenting every interaction, every threat. At Carl's gym, I played the concerned neighbor, asking about community policies. His ego took the bait. "Your wife needed to learn respect," he bragged, unaware I was recording. "Abigail takes orders seriously. Sometimes that requires enforcement." He admitted Sarah's assault was planned, time for my absence. Later, outside Abigail's window, I captured her voice. "In this now. Shut him up permanently." Carl and Linda planned their next movie, a Friday night attack on me, discussing weapons and timing. I had enough evidence to bury them, but I wasn't leaving this to the courts alone. They'd hospitalized my wife and planned to escalate. The civilian Daniel Carter was gone. Sarah confronted me as I cleaned tactical gear. "You're not just a consultant, are you?" she pressed. I sighed, meeting her gaze. "Navy SEAL, 15 years active duty, classified ops. I retired for you, to leave that life behind." But they crossed a line. Her eyes widened, a mix of shock and relief. "That's why you're so calm, why you notice everything," she said. "What's your plan?" I kept it vague. "I'm making sure they never hurt anyone again." Friday morning, I rigged our garage with surveillance cameras, positioned Sarah safely inside with a radio, and ensured neighbors could witness the confrontation. That evening, I worked in the garage, door open, lights bright, a suburban dad to anyone watching. In reality, I'd crafted a kill zone. Carl and Linda arrived on schedule, Carl with a crowbar, Linda with a hammer, their confidence radiating arrogance. "Time to learn, old man," Carl sneered. I turned slowly, feigning surprise. "Can I help you?" Carl charged, his attacks sloppy and predictable. I sidestepped, letting him crash into my workbench, tools scattering. Linda swung her hammer, but I caught her wrist, disarming her with a twist. "Weapons require training," I said calmly. Carl rushed again, and I restrained him effortlessly, his size no match for technique. "Experience beats aggression," I continued, as if teaching a class. Neighbors watched, stunned, as I subdued both attackers without breaking a sweat. A wrench thrown by Linda grazed my shoulder, drawing blood. She laughed, then froze, realizing she'd slipped calling me military man when I'd never mentioned my past. "For Sarah," I said, my voice ice cold, "you got one warning." I restrained them with precision, ensuring no permanent harm but absolute control. "Who are you?" Linda screamed. I leaned in, letting the truth hit hard. "Navy SEAL, Special Forces. Some skills never retire." The neighbors gasped, the revelation spreading like wildfire. Carl babbled, "We didn't know. Abigail told us to scare her." I gave them a choice. "Leave town tonight, or we'll have a different conversation." They fled, their arrogance replaced by terror. Within hours, Oakwood Heights buzzed with the truth about Daniel Carter. Abigail called an emergency HOA meeting, labeling me a violent criminal. I arrived with Sarah, playing recordings of Abigail's orders, Carl's confession, and their planned attack. Neighbors, silenced for years, spoke out. Mrs. Alvarez about threats to her family, Mr. Thompson about health issues from stress, a young mother about social services threats. The room erupted, demanding Abigail's removal. Police arrested her mid-meeting for conspiracy, news crews capturing her downfall. Carl and Linda faced assault charges, their lives unraveling. Oakwood transformed overnight. Families returned, property values soared, and Sarah's garden bloomed again, her trauma fading. 6 months later, Abigail worked retail in another state, her reputation destroyed. Carl labored manually, and Linda vanished in shame. Sarah and I became advocates, helping other communities fight HOA tyranny. Our home became a symbol of resistance, and I taught kids how to stand up to bullies. Sometimes, the quiet neighbor has the skills to end a war. What would you do if someone targeted your family? Comment below how far would you go?